talk about how I'd like to, what I would like to do is I'm competing with Grey's Anatomy, the show Grey's Anatomy. What I would like to do is set up a studio, a film studio right in Grey's Anatomy. And what I'm trying to do is steal the fans away from Grey's Anatomy. I'm trying to steal their fans and I'm trying to steal their audience and get a much more successful show with my version of Grey's Anatomy. So it's kind of like kind of like trying to it's competition. It's but anyways, my selling would be that with my show, I would actually have to assume that I don't know this to be a fact, but I would actually have to assume that perhaps the people that work on Grey's Anatomy probably don't have doctorates, or they probably aren't schooled in the human anatomy. They probably didn't go to medical school. Some of them might not have even gone to college, as a matter of fact. But I'm just assuming that. But my selling point would be that I've got all the technical skills of a doctor. I'm educated. I'm self-educated in the way where I've got the same clinical skills and acumen and knowledge that a real doctor would have, even though I didn't go to medical school. But and this is my version of Grey's Anatomy. So I hope all the actors and actresses decide to go with me instead, and the audience and everything. So here we go. Here's what. But let's just say that, okay, this is a scene from Grey's Anatomy. Let's just say that I'm giving a lecture on the human anatomy. I want to talk about the human eye for a second. Let's talk about the human eye. Okay, we're talking about the human eye. This is Keep Laughing. Thanks for joining me. You got the Wicked Clown. Hi. The human eye. So the human eye. Wait a minute. So I got my Grey's Anatomy book out, and I want to talk about the human eye. So let's see. I'm trying to find in this Grey's Anatomy book where you have the human eye. The eye. Okay, the eye. The human eye. Give me a second. This is Grey's Anatomy. This is my version of Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if you ever saw the show Grey's Anatomy on ABC. Oh, hi. Jeffrey Van Gordon and the Wicked Clown. Right now I'm playing my guitar. Oh, that's really cool. What are you playing? What are you playing on your guitar? I'd like to hear it. That's pretty cool. So, okay, so we've got the... I want to talk about... Oh, hi. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk about the human eye. The appendages of the eye. The appendages of the eye, the tuamina oculi, include the eyebrows, the eyelids, the conjunctiva, and the lacrimal apparatus. Oh, you're playing Enter Sandman. That's really cool. Yeah. Exit light, enter night. Take my hand off to Never Land. Okay. The lacrimal gland and the lacrimal sac and the nasal leg. The eyebrows are two arched eminences of integument. Integument which surmount the upper circumference of the orbit on each side and support. Play something from Loma Shore. Okay, sounds like you people would rather hear some music than Grey's Anatomy. Let me get the guitar out. Okay. This usually happens. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so hopefully next time you guys will listen to Grey's Anatomy. For now, okay, I'll do the music again. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. So close to how far, couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trust who we are, and nothing else matters. Never opened myself this way, life was ours and I lost I seek, I find in you. Every day for something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. And I know you've got a Paul Stanley guitar. You got a Paul Stanley guitar. That's really cool. Did you ever hear the song Black Diamond by Kiss? And the first Kiss album, they had a song called Black Diamond. It's about a prostitute, actually, a prostitute named Black Diamond. A little known fact, I mean, there's a lot of like people that bring their families to see it, but it's actually, the song is about a prostitute named Black Diamond, but I think most people don't even know that, probably. But let me play the song, okay. Out on the street for a living. Pictures only begun. They got you under their thumb. Oh, na 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 Okay, let's see, what do you got? I can play Iron Man Black Sabbath. Can you play A Horse with No Name? I think I could play that song, but okay. Okay, wait. On the first day of the journey, there were rocks and sand and snakes and things. There were everything all around. You know, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. Forget me off on the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, 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 la. I don't even know if I'm playing the right chords. La, la, la. I don't think I am. Wait a minute. Okay. But I think I get the vocal melody right, but I'm not playing the wrong chords. So we go. La, la, la. Wait a minute. La, 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 la. Something like that. La, la. Okay. La, 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 la. Okay. I never really learned that song. I could play Thunderstruck by AC/DC. That's really cool. Okay. Let's see. A lot of my YouTube fans are big rock and roll fans, which is cool. Okay. Wait a minute. How would chairs look if people had their kneecaps on the back side? How would chairs look if people look at the... Okay, so how would chairs look if the people had their knee... I don't know. Okay, see. Someone to hearts. It ain't the latest thing. I'm just standing in a doorway. I'm just trying to make some sense. Don't need a whore, don't need no booze. Don't need a virgin priest. I'm not waiting on a lady. I'm just waiting on a friend. I'm just waiting on a friend. Waiting on a friend. Okay, wait a minute. I can play "Smells Like Teen Spirits." You can play the "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Yeah, I used to know that. Do I still know that? Wait, "Smells Like Teen Spirit" solo. Wait. I don't want to just fumble around with that. I gotta. Okay, oh, thanks. You got somebody named Rage Factor. Thanks. That was part of a song that I wrote. There's a song that I wrote recently. It's called Lightspeed Mindy. And what that song is about, it's about this woman that has like these powers to travel faster than the speed of light. So if you can travel faster than the speed of light, you can not only go back in time, but you can go not only go forward in time, but you can go back in time and space. So it's about a woman that can actually travel. Is it called a paragon or whatever the hell it's called? But a person, a soul, an entity that could travel anywhere in time, anywhere forward or back, anywhere in time and space. Somebody that could like travel throughout the whole fabric of time and space and be at any moment in world history, in the history of the universe. And that's what the song is about. And she could influence different events of the universe. But I weave that kind of like into one of my stories too. Wait a minute, have you heard, what's that? I don't know what that is. David the Invincible. Rage Factor, I can play the Ozzy Osbourne riff. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so okay, let's see. So I did like a 2.5 hour live performance this morning, and here I am doing more. Well, I'm trying to monetize YouTube. I'm trying to get those 4,000 hours. Let's see. The American metal band Vorden Khmer. That sounds like a cool name. Yeah, I never heard of that. Vorden Khmer. Yeah. I mean, here's a heavy metal song that I wrote, but I guess I could try playing it on acoustic guitar. You don't hear too many heavy metal bands playing acoustic songs, but I wrote a heavy metal. It's kind of inspired by Metallica. If you ever heard the song Fade in the Black, it's kind of inspired by that, but I always try to make things as original as I can. But okay, wait a minute. So um, I'd like to play like a solo over this riff. I'd like to play like a nice guitar melody, like a Phrygian melody or something like that. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. There's a place in heaven for an angel born in hell. Oh, wait a minute. Have you ever heard of a band called Motionless in White? No, but it's a cool name. So that was a song that I wrote called Angel Born in Hell. If you want me to explain the meaning behind that song, it's I kind of envisioned like a girl that grew up in poverty, like in the slums of whether it was like Chicago, LA, or New York, or wherever the hell it was. And so that's hell. That's to her, that's hell. She was growing up in hell. She grew up in like the slums or whatever, the Skid Row or whatever. But she's got these big dreams of getting out. She's got all this talent. So there's a place in heaven for the angel born in hell. So then, she takes her talent and she hits the big time, and she moves to, whether it was Beverly Hills or if it's like in Chicago, then it's in Wilmette or whatever. In New York, it'd be like the Hamptons or whatever, whatever, just examples. But But then, then you kind of come around to the same, then you can always come back to the same point. It's like, money isn't everything, right? It's like money is not everything, and it's not like that's not the goal. The goal is not like how much money you can make and becoming a billionaire or something like that. It's like the artistic reward of like being proud of like the artistic work that you've done, and just developing a love affair, finding a true love in your life and stuff like that. Those are the most rewarding things, of course. And just having a mansion or just stuff like that. Those are pretty, I mean, those are pretty shallow goals. I mean, it's good. Everybody loves money, I think, but it's like the true reward is the music itself and like having great relationships and if you can find the love of your life. But then, so she, when she does succeed and she moves into a mansion or something like that, she really realizes that, you know, that's not everything. Money isn't everything. And it's like, that she still finds that she's not, and she never found true love, but she's rich all of a sudden, but she never found true love. So that's kind of like part of the message of the song too. But the other flip side of the other dual meaning of the song is that it's literally an angel that was born in hell, literally in hell, and she rises up to heaven. Okay, anyways. But so anyways, hello, I'm new to the stream. Yeah, there was a song that I wrote called Angel Born in Hell. Let's see, what else? There's a lady in a show, the dawn is gone, and she's buying the stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stars are all closed, then what she can get what she gave. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the walls, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have to mean. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all and she's following the stairway to heaven. Really makes me wonder. Then the piper will lead us to reason. And until they will dawn, with those who stay on, and the forest will echo with laughter. And she's found the stairway to heaven. And there's a wine on down the road, older than I saw. There was a lady on my road, and everything still turns to gold. And if you listen very hard, well, what is I always on? There'll be a rock and a roll. Find the stairway to heaven. I want Ain't No Sunshine. I'm trying to wait a minute. Please, I want Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers. I never played that song. Let's see if I could figure it out. Do you know what the chords are? If you could tell me what the chords are, I'm sure I could figure it out. I never played that song. Check out this band called Ice. What are the chords? And maybe I could try to just figure it out. Ain't no sunshine when she's. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Every time she goes away, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Every time she goes away. I don't remember, but it's obviously in a minor key. A minor and then, minor, two minors in a row? Let me try two minors in a row. So okay. So I'm just going to go with A minor. I'm thinking A minor, and then it sounded like D minor to me. Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Let's try A minor and then D minor. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Every time she goes away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Every time she runs away. Do I like scary movies? I love scary movies. So you're the Wicked Clown. Yes, I love scary movies. Did you ever see a movie called Night of the Demons? As a matter of fact, I got a poster of it right there. Check that out. Night of the Demons. Oh, that was actually Night of the Demons Part 3. And the caption reads, Angela's throwing another party. Trick or treat, sucker. And see that? Night of the Demons 3. That's a classic horror movie. There's a whole series of Night of the Demons series, by the way. But yeah, Night of the Demons. Love horror movies. Oh, since you like horror movies, this phone, okay, keeps fucking, okay. Oh, wait a minute, okay. Since you like horror movies like I do, here's a song that I learned from a horror movie. I was watching this horror movie called, the name of the horror movie was, why am I forgetting the name of the horror movie? The name of the horror movie. Terror something? Wait a minute. Okay. You're the living sin, you're the harlequin in a one-act play. Though you've given up, even though you can't say why. Though your hero died back in '69, well, that's no excuse to go lose yourself in an FM headphone high. It's a heartless world. Ooh, it's a heartless world. Have you had enough? Are you going back to that crazy place? Are you listening? Am I talking to myself? Though it's sad to say, but it's just that way. Never change. Won or lost, you know it's hard to tell. Ooh, it's a heartless world. Ooh, it's a heartless world. Okay, that was a Heartless World. Okay. The weight of the encephalon. The average weight of the brain in the adult male is 49.5 ounces, or a little more than 3 pounds, avoirdupois. That of the female, 44 ounces. The average difference between the two being from 5 to 6 ounces. The prevailing weight of the brain in the male ranges from between 46 and 53 ounces. And the female between 41 ounces and 47 ounces. In the male, the maximum weight out of 278 cases was 65 ounces, and the minimum weight, 34 ounces. The maximum weight of the adult female brain out of 191 cases was 56 ounces, and the minimum weight, 31 ounces. According to Lushka, the average weight of the man's brain is 1,424 grams, about 45 ounces, of a woman's 1,272 grams, about 41 ounces. And according to Krauss, 1,570 grams, about 48.5 ounces for the male, and 1,350, about 43 ounces for the female. It appears that the weight of the brain increases rapidly up to the 7th year. This is Grey's Anatomy. It's for anybody that wants to go into pre-med and become a doctor, okay? Because this is my version of the show Grey's Anatomy, okay? More slowly to between 16 and 70, and still more slowly to between 30 and 40 when it reaches its maximum, okay? Okay. The size of the brain was formerly said to bear a general relation to the intellectual capacity of the individual. Cuvier's brain weighed rather more than 64 ounces. Okay. That of the date Dr. Abercrombie, 63 ounces. And that of Dupont-Yetrin, 62.5 ounces. On the other hand, the brain of an idiot seldom weighs more than 23 ounces. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up, man. Okay. Let's see. But these facts are by no means conclusive. And it is well known that these weights have been equaled by the brains of persons who never displayed any remarkable intellect. Dr. Haldeman of Cincinnati. Ever been to Cincinnati? Who's ever been to Cincinnati? If you were to vote at like what the most boring spot in America is, would you say Cincinnati is like on the top 10 most boring places in America? I would have to say it's either Cincinnati or Kansas City or something like that. Or Cincinnati or what's the most boring city in America? I don't know. Anyways. Okay, so according to him, the weight of the brain has no influence whatever on the mental faculties. Okay. It ought to be remembered that the significance of the weight of the brain. Don't you love your own brain? I love my own brain. I love the fact that, we all have human brains, and that our brains are full of all these facts and figures, and the imagination, and it's where our mind is generated from, and we can like imagine things. I can imagine all these sexy things. I can mentally undress with my brain the bodies of beautiful women. Brain is such a fun thing, isn't it? The human brain. Okay, anyways, and believe me, I'm constantly mentally undressing women with my brain, with my imagination. If it's a hot woman, if it's the woman with the hot tits or nice ass, I'm always mentally undressing them. Okay, anyways. Okay. Of the brain should depend on the proportion it bears to the dimensions of the whole body and to the age of the individual. Okay. It is equally important to know that the cause of death for long illness or old age exhausts the brain. To define the real degree of development of the brain, it is therefore necessary to have a knowledge of the condition of the whole body, and as this is usually lacking, the mere record of weight possesses little significance. Oh, it's freezing again. The screen is freezing again. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see. The human brain is lower. The human brain is heavier than that of all the lower animals, excepting the elephant or the whale. The brain of the former weighs from 8 to 10 pounds, and that of a whale, in a specimen 75 feet long, weighed rather more than 5 pounds. I'm trying to sound like a college professor, okay? Cerebral localization and topography. Physiological and pathological research have now gone far to prove that the surface of the brain may be mapped out into a series of definite areas, each one of which is intimately connected with some well-defined function. And this is especially true with regard to the convolutions on either side of the fissure of Rolando, which are believed by most physiologists of the present day to be concerned in motion, those grouped around the fissure being associated with movements of the extremities of the opposite side of the body. Okay. And those around the lower end of the fissure being related to movements of the mouth and the tongue. This is not the place, nor can space be given, to describe these localities. But the two accompanying cuts from Ferrier have been introduced and will serve to indicate the position of the more important areas. The relation of the principal fissures and convolutions of the cerebrum. What's your favorite advantage? I mean, what's your favorite aspect of having a brain? What do you think's the most fun part of having a brain? I think the most fun aspect of having a human brain, is being able to mentally undress the most beautiful women in the world. That's the most fun aspect of having a human brain. For me, it is. For me, and maybe some lesbians too. Anyways, okay. The relation of the principal fissures and convolutions of the cerebrum to the outer surface of the scalp has been the subject of much investigation. Okay, and many systems have been described by which one may localize these parts for an examination of the external surface of the head. Okay, these plans can only be regarded as approximately correct for several reasons. In the first place, because the relations of the convolutions and sulci to the surface are found to be very variable in different individuals. Secondly, because the surface area of the scalp is greater than the surface area of the brain. So that lines drawn on one cannot correspond exactly to sulci or convolutions of the other. And thirdly, because the sulci and convolutions in two individuals are never precisely alike. Nevertheless, the principal fissures and convolutions can be mapped out with sufficient accuracy for all practical purposes, so that any particular convolution can be generally exposed by removing with the trephine a certain portion of the skull's area. The various landmarks on the outside of the skull, which can be easily felt and which serve as indications of the position of the parts beneath, have been already referred to, and the relation of the fissures of the convolutions of these landmarks are as follows. Okay, I'm going to just go to the longitudinal fissure, the fissures of Sylvius, fissures of Rolando. Let's see, the spine, the members. Okay. So, does anybody have any observations they would like to make about that section of Gray's Anatomy? Any types of insights that you can, anything that you can infer from that? Thanks for joining me. I'll be right. Okay, so that was back to Grey's Anatomy. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the human eye right now. Talk about the human eye. The eye. The eyeball is contained in the cavity of the orbit. In this situation, it is securely protected from injury, whilst its position is such as to ensure the most extensive range of sight. It is acted upon by numerous muscles, by which it is capable of being directed to different parts. It is supplied by vessels and nerves and is additionally protected in front by several appendages, such as the eyebrows, eyelids, etc. The eyeball is embedded in the fat of the orbit, but is surrounded by a thin membranous sac, the capsule of tenon, which isolates it so as to allow of free movement. Okay. I'm going to try to do this in a different accent now, okay? Because it's supposed to be a comedy show, and anyways, a southern accent. Pretend I'm from the deep south, okay? Capsule tenon outside a thin membrane, which envelops the eyeball from the optic nerve to the ciliary region, separated it from the orbital fat and forming a socket in which it plays. Its inner surface is smooth. Wait a minute, did I lose a listener? Okay, wait a minute. Are you still there? Okay. You still there? Okay. Let's see. So I was just talking about, okay, so we're talking about Grey's Anatomy. So who's a fan of the book Grey's Anatomy? I could read Grey's Anatomy in front of me. Let's see. I was talking about the eye. Okay. Let's see. Now, I was just thinking. So, okay, so we know that the way the human eye functions, when the light from an object, what vision? Okay, now I lost the audience. With the light from any object, let's say you're looking at a car, or you're looking at a person, or a tree, or a plant, or whatever. Let's say that the light from the object, that light actually passes through your pupils, travels along the. Wait a minute. So it passes through your pupils, travels to the retina, travels along the optic nerve, and then it goes. Then that image is travels, along your optic nerve to your brain, to the the visual cortex, to the part of the brain where, and so what is vision? Um, in your brain, I mean, the human brain actually assembles pictorial images that are actually light images that pass along your optic nerve into the brain and to the visual cortex of your brain. And it assembles these images into coherent, cohesive images that become your sight, the human sight. So, um, do you think that these images, like, how do you describe it? Because to describe something, to describe a human vision merely by saying that it's like a neuronal pattern in your brain, that it's a formation of a different, like a different neuronal pattern, different group of neurons light up on your brain when you see something, and that's how you describe it, physiologically. When you look at like the neuronal patterns, the neurons that are firing in your brain, that only describes it in a clinical way. That only describes like the physiological processes that are taking place in your brain. But how do you actually describe the actual experience of sight, actually seeing something visual? I mean, it's like actually, how the physiological aspect of sight, but how could it be described in an esoteric way? So that brings me to different philosophical questions about what sight is, what thoughts are, what imagination is, and is it really just like a physiological process in your brain, or is it like separate from that? Is there something you know that is like the human mind and things like sight and sound and the human mind and everything? Is it all just physiological processes, or is it something on more of an abstract esoteric level, or something that's exists over and above the brain, and something that's like or is like, are these like just epiphenomenon, say, of the brain? um, so these are kind of like the fundamental philosophical questions that that you must address in trying to. I mean, if you were to actually try to scientifically try to prove or disprove the existence of a human soul, I think that's like the approach that you would take. I mean, you know what you know about science, and then the next question is, and, there's always a science versus religion debate, but can science only go so far in explaining certain phenomenon, or is science the be all and end all? Does science explain everything, or is there some things that are only not are certain things like only things that could be like felt and like experienced and not deduced from analysis? So that's another thing I've thought about in trying to figure out whether or not the human soul exists, because I do want to believe that there is a human soul, that there's something, you know, there's like a disembodied soul that can like travel on through time ad infinitum and travel to different dimensions or planes of existence. And I think that's the fundamental question that must be answered in order to make that. Um, and perhaps it's something that can't be understood, but that doesn't stop us from trying, does it? So, in reading this Gray's Anatomy, it brought me to that philosophical question. And let's see. So I think it's probably a lot more interesting to not just like read Gray's Anatomy word for word and try to study it and memorize like every part of the human anatomy, but like the more interesting and more titillating um, intellectual pursuit would be to try to understand everything. I mean, try to like take it a step further and try to like try to understand not only the arrangement of the um, of human body parts and how everything functions together as a unified whole, but to try to understand what exists beyond that, and if there is a prime mover, and if there is something that is like over and above the functionality of the human brain. If there is like some kind of like if I took a little bit more time to try to like come up with a thesis on this, I'd be able to like, I'm just doing this on the spot right now. So if I was actually to write up a thesis on what I'm trying to say, I'd be able to say this in a more cohesive, coherent way. But what I'm driving at is like, are the materialist scientists right, or are the scientists that believe in the immaterial and the soul and everything? Because believe it or not, there are scientists that believe in the soul, and I think maybe more scientists don't believe in the human soul, but there are a certain percentage of scientists that do believe in the human soul. Um, because science can actually be a reductive thing in and of itself. It's like if you analyze it really deeply, you might think that that's all there is. It's like the functionality of the human body and the brain and everything. That's where it stops. But and then you could also come to like Occam's razor. Occam's razor. That's like the scientific principle that if there's no greater, I'm just paraphrasing here, but Occam's razor states that the simplest scientific explanation is always the explanation. That's the correct explanation, is the most direct, simplest scientific explanation. But when it comes to trying to believe in the human soul, I hope that we don't have to apply Occam's razor, because that would actually, I mean, if you were to take Occam's razor literally, you would say that the simplest explanation is the most accurate explanation. If that was the case, that would mean that that the brain and the body, that's all there is. We are our brains, we are our bodies, and that's it. After death, that's it. But I don't want to believe that. I want to believe in the immortal soul, and so I don't want to apply Occam's razor to that, But sometimes scientists believe in Occam's razor. And Occam's razor say that the simplest explanation and the most easily explained explanation is the most accurate explanation. But who wants to believe in that? Who wants to think that that's all there is? It's kind of like that song, "If That's All There Is, If That's All There Is." The song is an old song. Wait a minute. Anyways, let's see. Well, getting back to Grey's Anatomy, let's see what else. What are some of the more interesting sections of Grey's Anatomy? Pretend that you're like in like a doctoral level lecture on the human anatomy, like in your pre-med studies, or no, your medical studies. You're like talk about the bones. Wait a minute. Let's see. Um, um, hmm. So, what do you think? Do you think that in my YouTube audience right now, who believes in the human soul and who doesn't? Who thinks that that life doesn't continue after this worldly existence? Okay. I know it's kind of a deep question to ask on like a Wednesday afternoon. Usually, let's see. Let's see. Thanks for joining me. This is my. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I was doing like a. The whole point of this before was I was supposed to be doing like a. I got to put Grey's Anatomy away, and I'm going to start doing because the original intention that I had for this was to do like improvised comedy. So I'll bring it back. Okay, so now I want to try to improvise a comedy scene. So let's say that you wake up one morning, and let's say you live on a farm in Nebraska. You wake up one morning, and you live like at a farm in Nebraska, and you wake up one morning and your bed is levitating above New York City. So your bed that you sleep in, normally when you're on your farm in Nebraska, the bed is actually levitating about 100 feet above New York City, and all of a sudden you hear the sound, you hear the unmistakable sound of the song "Tom Sawyer" by Rush. And that's what wakes you up. That's what wakes you up. You're laying in your bed. So you started out. You were in Nebraska, on in your bed in the farmhouse in your bed, and you wake up and you wake up to the sounds of like the loudest version of Tom Sawyer by Rush ringing in your ears, and that's what wakes you up. And you find that your bed is levitating above New York City. So you wake up and your bed is levitating above New York City, and you hear the unmistakable sound of Tom Sawyer by Rush. And you look down and you see, like in Central Park in New York City, you see Rush playing the song Tom Sawyer on a stage that they set up in New York City, like in the Central Park. And you're thinking to yourself, how the fuck did this happen? All of a sudden, I'm levitating on a bed above New York City. I look down and I say Rush. And not only that, so the bed is hovering above New York City, but then it drops down. And then all of a sudden, you get out of the bed, but you're fully in your clothes and everything. You get out of bed and you see you're in the front row of the Rush concert in New York City. But then everything looks different. Everything's like even more modernized. You think about like all the technology we have right now, all the computer technology and everything. It's like it's advanced like 100 years into the future. So it's like you're in the year 2112. Let's say you wake up and you're in New York City in the year 2112, and Rush is playing the album 2112 in its entirety in Central Park. Okay, the album 2112, and the whole band is up there, and somehow Rush has found that they've discovered that they are all immortal, and the gods of rock and roll were so impressed by the album 2112 that what's the right verb to describe somebody who's been given immortality? So because they wrote such a great album, 2112, since that album is so good, the rock and roll gods and goddesses, the gods and goddesses of rock and roll. So the gods and goddesses of rock and roll, they don't think that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, this thing is kind of bullshit. So what they did, they have like the real Rock and Roll Hall of Fame which exists in all eternity in the realm of rock and roll. But I could come up with a better name for the realm of rock and roll, actually. But so the first inductee to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the real Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the netherworld is Rush. And the induction ceremony is Rush playing 2112 in Central Park in the year 2112. So the gods and goddesses of rock and roll and so anybody who makes it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the rock and roll realm, I'll come up with a better name than just the rock and roll realm. I always come up with better titles than that. But in the rock and roll realm, we'll just say for now. But anybody who makes it to the rock and roll realm and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the rock and roll realm is actually given immortality. Not given, but bestowed, has immortality bestowed upon them. I'm trying to think what the right verb for that is. Has immortality bestowed upon them? There's probably a better way to phrase that, but so Rush is the first rock and roll inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the eternal realm of rock and roll. And for the induction ceremony, and they're given immortality too. So for the induction ceremony, they play 2112 in its entirety in the year 2112 in Central Park in New York City. That must be one of the coolest things that I ever thought of. But anyways, sounds a lot cooler than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, doesn't it? Okay, anyways, the immortal Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for all eternity, you know what I'm saying? So you wake up because you had spent the night in your little farmhouse in Nebraska, and you wake up to that. Can you imagine waking up to that? So, wouldn't that be a hoot? And everybody at the concert is given these autographed copies of 2112, but it's a remastered version of 2112 with bonus songs. And so the remastered version of 2112 has bonus songs, like new songs that are kind of like an augmentation of the original 2112 that came out when? In the 70s? Let's just say it was around 74 or something like that, or 76, whenever it was. Where did that album come out? But so they've had a lot of time between 1976 and the real year 2112 to come up with new songs. That's what, actually, when I think about it, that's what Rush should do. They should come up with a new version of 2112 with all new songs. And you know what? They got to get a drummer to, a new drummer to, a competent new drummer, and they come up with new songs for 2112. Maybe like with a whole album's worth of new songs. So it'll be the original songs remastered. So I'm trying to give Rush ideas, I guess, and then give them, and then come up with new songs that are kind of like a new reinterpretation of the whole concept between 2112. And see, the thing is, I don't know. Can you think they would do that? I don't know. Let's see. I think they should. Okay. I'm not going to say anything until there's another listener in my YouTube stream because. Okay. Oh, hi. So we're talking about 2112. So Rush, I'm trying to convince Rush to re-record 2112 with new songs, remaster each of the songs, and then, write new songs for the album, And I'm also, okay, this would be a big challenge for Rush, but if I ever had the opportunity to actually speak to the band Rush personally, I would say first of all, I know this is very ambitious, but I think you guys should try to build a time machine to travel to the year 2112. Secondly, I think you should re-record 2112, remaster the songs, and come up with new songs for 2112. So like a whole new disc's worth of two songs, of like new songs. And so once you, I mean, if you're able to build a time machine and travel to the year 2112, what I think you should do, Rush, is travel to the year 2112 and perform these songs in Central Park to an enthusiastic audience. What do you think of that? Anyways, but actually, I'm kind of like sidetracking myself because the original stream of consciousness thing that I had happening there was I was talking about how it started out with somebody that was actually a farmer in Nebraska that woke up one day and they found themselves hovering in their bed above New York City, where below they saw the band Rush performing 2112 and a bunch of other songs, Tom Sawyer and stuff. And the reason for that was Rush has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Netherworld. The Eternal Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where not only do you get like a trophy for being admitted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Netherworld, but you also receive immortality. But Rush is the first Rush would be the first inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Netherworld, and so that's why they were playing live in New York City. It's like the induction ceremony for that. Catch my drift? So that so that I think that I think that would be really cool. Let's see. Okay. So what else? What else should I talk about? But that was a an improvisational comedy sketch that I came up with the other night. Let's see. Oh, thanks for joining me. So yeah, it'd be Rush in the year 2112. Well, I could actually. There's two different ideas, two different like. You come to a fork of the road, and there's two different like directions I could take that sketch into. I could say that it would be me talking to the band Rush. I don't know if they would want to talk to me or not, but if they ever did want to talk to me, I would try to convince them to re-record the album 2112. Okay, remaster the songs, come up with new songs for the album, and once the new remastered album with bonus tracks is completed, try to build a time machine to travel to the year 2112. And I know this is really ambitious, but it would be the ultimate rock and roll achievement if Rush was to travel to the year 2112 with a time machine that they built and play a gig in New York City in Central Park in the year 2112. The other notion that I had for that was, let's say there's like a farmer who falls asleep in their bed in Nebraska. They wake up and their bed is hovering above New York City, and they wake up to the sound of the song Tom Sawyer by Rush. And the bed like lowers itself to the ground, and they get out of bed, and they see the band Rush on stage, and they find that the reason that the band Rush is on stage is that they've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But we're not talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. We're talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the Netherworld. And this is the not Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that is eternal. And if you're inducted, you receive immortality. Immortality is bestowed upon those who are inducted into the Netherworld version of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you will. And Rush is the first one to be inducted into the Netherworld version of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this would be like their the performance they did at the induction ceremony would be they started out with, well, when they played, 2112 in its entirety, including the bonus songs that they came up with for the album. And, Tom Sawyer and a lot of the other songs that they have too. Anyways, so I thought it would be a good idea. And I thought but just imagine, I mean, as far as we know, nobody has ever really built a time machine, have they? Do you actually know of any other person who has actually built a time machine? But if it was possible to build a time machine, that would be the ultimate um, achievement in rock and roll. Would there be? I mean, just an example. The ultimate rock and roll achievement would be take a band like Rush. If they were actually able to build a time machine and travel to the year 2112, they could actually perform their album 2112 in the year 2112 by traveling to 2112 in their time machine. And they could play a gig in New York City, for example, in Central Park. Yeah, no, yeah, I do know that would be great. Let's see. Okay. Oh, hi. We were just talking about Rush. Um, and my idea was that Rush, the rock and roll band Rush. Okay, I'm sick of. I don't want to keep talking about Rush. Let's come up with another comedy sketch. Okay, let's see. What else should I talk about? Um, what do you people want to talk about? Um, we could talk about trying to improvise some more comedy sketches. Let's see. Improvised comedy, comedy scenes. I don't know. I don't know. Let's say that you work at a rodeo. No, not a rodeo. Let's say you're the Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs, and you travel to Istanbul. You find some strange looking plants in this guy named Mohammed. It's a year, you travel to Istanbul in like 2000 BC, Istanbul. You find some guys growing some strange plants in his backyard in Istanbul. And then you so it's in Istanbul, and I don't know if I got the. I'm trying to think because wait a minute, Constantinople and Istanbul. Do those places exist, or are those like antiquated cities? Because there's a They Might Be Giants song, Istanbul, not Constantinople, or whatever the hell it is. But let's say that you travel to Istanbul, and I think those are dead cities. Those are cities from the past that don't exist, right? Istanbul and Constantinople. But those are like antiquated cities, aren't they? But let's say you were able to travel to Istanbul, is it year 2000 AD or whatever? I mean BC. Okay. And you're in Istanbul, and you see the band They Might Be Giants. Did you ever hear the band They Might Be Giants? Let's say it's Istanbul in the year 2000 BC. In Istanbul, They Might Be Giants are giving a concert. It's in celebration of their album Flood. They've got an album they wrote called Flood, and so you're in Istanbul, and so they traveled back in time. So as opposed to Rush, who traveled forward in time to the year 2112, the band They Might Be Giants traveled back in time to Istanbul It's Istanbul, not Constantinople, or whatever it is. Like, you know. So and you also, in this case, okay, let's redo this one. So it's like let's say that you're you live in a farm in Nebraska, and you wake up one day and your bed is levitating above Istanbul and Constantinople, and They Might Be Giants are giving a gig there in Istanbul, but they have that album Flood that came out in 1992, I think, and they've remastered and re-recorded those songs for Flood, and with some bonus tracks in the same way Rush did for 2112. But this is they went forward, they went back in time, whereas like Rush went forward in time. And okay, um, so it's so I think that would really be cool. So it's like um, uh, you know, They Might Be Giants. You ever had the band They Might Be Giants? Because I know a lot of the people, a lot of my subscribers, a lot of my YouTube subscribers are like in the 18 through 24 um, demographic. I happen to be 54 years old, and I'm a lot older than my average YouTube listener. But I do have the heart of a 20 year old, the heart, the mind, and the soul of a 20-year old. So I think it only makes sense that the biggest demographic in my YouTube audience is 18 through 24. But and then I have some younger, some older. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking, considering the fact that a lot of my YouTube listeners are, on average, they're 18 through 24. I was just wondering if you people ever heard of the band They Might Be Giants. It's kind of like comedy rock. I would actually have to the only way I could describe They Might Be Giants is comedy rock. Um, I think they're from like the East Coast. I think from New York actually. And when I was like 18 years old, there was this ad in the newspaper. It was like in the classified section, and it said like you call up this number, and it was like They Might Be Giants, and you could call up this like free number in this ad in like the Chicago Sun Times, I think it was. You call up this number, and it was like an 800 number, and there was like a They Might Be Giants song on this recording, and I think that was a publicity stunt for They Might Be Giants. They recorded their songs, and back before you had like you could try to like promote your music online. Back in the late 80s, you didn't have like the internet where you can promote music online, so people had to be real creative that back then on how they were going to promote their music. So They Might Be Giants set up like this like 1-800 number. You could call into this number, and you could hear like their songs. They put like a new song of the day, dial it tune, I think it was. And it was like a They Might Be Giants song. And what is cool about that is that anybody can put something online and try to promote it on the internet. But back then you had to be really creative in how you're going to promote your music. So They Might Be Giants, they set up an 800 number to promote their music, and you call into this number and you have the song of the day. And quite frankly, that's how I found out about They Might Be Giants. I called this, and it was a free number. You could hear their songs for free, but then you liked it so much. It was such a cool song. But a lot of it was like a lot of like kind of funny parody songs and comedy stuff. It was like funny lyrics, and it wasn't exactly like Led Zeppelin or something like that. It was like kind of comedy rock. But catchy songs though, good pop hooks, funny stuff. You call up this 800 number back when before the internet, back in the days when you couldn't promote your music on the internet, you had to find creative ways to promote your music. So the They Might Be Giants had an 800 number you would call up, and it would have the song of the day. That's how I found out about They Might Be Giants. But I liked it so much that I had to get their album. So they have an album called Lincoln, an album called Flood. And on the album Flood, there's a song called, I think it's called like "What If Istanbul Were Constantinople" or something like that. And for my comedy sketch, my comedy thing on YouTube, it's my comedy, improvisational comedy. I imagined somebody who lives on a farm in Nebraska, and they wake up one day, and the bed is levitating about 100 feet above Istanbul or Constantinople, they went back in time. They traveled back in time, not only in the esoteric world of the dreams, but also the concrete world of reality. They traveled back in time to like the year 2000 BC or something like that. And the band They Might Be Giants is playing the song Istanbul, Constantinople. I'm trying to think what the real title for that song is. But they remastered the songs and they came up with bonus material. And it's a guy and a girl, I guess it's a couple that's laying together in bed. And they get on stage, they're like, what the fuck is going on? They might be giants doing the song Flood, and they're doing that song, What If Istanbul Was Constantinople? Istanbul was Constantinople, or what? Okay. That song is actually set to another melody, I think. The lyrics of that song are actually kind of like the way rap does. And the way a rap song is structured, it's kind of like da 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 da, putting on the Reds, I think. So I think what they did is they took the melody to putting on the Reds, and they set their nerdy, funny little nerdy lyrics to da da da, putting on the Reds, da 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 da, Istanbul at Constantinople, Istanbul, or whatever. Yeah, anyways, you got to get the album to really hear the song. It's an album called Flood by They Might Be Giants. And I'm gonna have to actually, maybe I'm gonna have to see if They Might Be Giants might owe me a royalty for that plug. But so they're on stage and they're literally like in Istanbul, Constantinople, and doing that song, but it's actually a remastered version of that song. And anyways, what else? Oh, hi. Um, so what's up? Um, this is my comedy show. It's called Keep Laughing. And if you never started laughing, I guess it'd be really easy to keep laughing. Um, or keep not laughing if you never started laughing. Um, let's see. Oh, hi. This is my comedy show. It's my comedy show, Keep Laughing. Thanks for joining me. Um, so, we're talking about They Might Be Giants. We're talking about Rush. Um, we're talking about Rush, and we were talking about They Might Be Giants going backward in time. We were talking about Rush going forward in time. Um, I wonder if Rush and They Might Be Giants are fans of each other. I mean, it's totally different from each other, but totally different sounds of the music. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. Let's see. I would actually like to hear. This is what I'd like to hear. You can wait till my audience. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. So, I have another funny idea. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, come on. What the fuck's going on? Okay. So I was thinking it would be kind of a funny idea. It would be if yeah, what I was thinking it would be a funny idea if the band They Might Be Giants, if they re-recorded the band, the album 2112 by Rush, and if Rush tried to re-record the album Flood by They Might Be Giants. What do you think of that, dude? I thought that was a pretty cool idea, actually. So what's up? What's going on? So I was actually thinking, yeah, I was thinking that if let's just say I'm trying to set up an improvisational comedy sketch now. Let's say that you drive a taxi in New York, and I don't know. I'm trying to think. Well, you drive a taxi in New York, and you accidentally run over a squirrel, maybe a squirrel or something. Accidentally run over a squirrel, and let's say the squirrel didn't die. I mean, you ran over a squirrel, didn't die. What do you do? If you were a taxi driver, let's say you're a taxi. Maybe you got like a moral dilemma or something like that. and you run over a squirrel, and the squirrel's not dead, but it's fighting for its life. Do you care that much about a squirrel that you're going to take it to the hospital to try to get it like bandaged up and try to save its life? Like, how much do you really care about the life of a squirrel that you can actually go to like the local, like Mount Sinai or something like that to try to get some medical care for the squirrel? So let's say, okay, so I was just thinking, I mean, do you really care if you were a taxi driver in New York and you accidentally ran over a squirrel and the squirrel wasn't dead, but it was fighting for its life. But would you really care that much about the well-being of a squirrel that you would actually drive the squirrel to the hospital? And well, I mean, you can't just take it to a regular hospital. Let's say that. Okay, let's just say that you want to take it to the veterinarian. Let's say like you wanted to nurse the squirrel back to health. But I mean, if you were a taxi driver in New York and you actually accidentally ran over a squirrel, but you thought like some people might say, well, it's just a squirrel. I mean, and if you're like somebody else, like let's say you're like in the back seat with your girlfriend. No, I mean you're a taxi driver, but like let's just say that you call your girlfriend up on the phone and you say like, hey, look, I accidentally ran over a squirrel. So I was thinking, like, if I was a taxi driver in New York and I actually accidentally ran over a squirrel. So this is a comedy sketch I was thinking of. I was thinking, like, what would you do if you actually ran over it, but the squirrel wasn't dead, but the squirrel was fighting for its life? Would you care enough about the fate of the squirrel that you would actually try to bring it to the local veterinarian? Okay, well, so and maybe the taxi driver would call up his girlfriend for her advice, and she was like, "What the fuck are you smoking? You're actually worried about like the fate of a squirrel?" But you've got like this. Your moral compass actually makes you think that like maybe you do want to save the squirrel, even if it is just a squirrel. You want to take it to the veterinarian and save it, because you after all you were the one that ran over the squirrel. But let's say, okay, let's just say that, okay, so you decide to take it to the veterinarian, but you find that the veterinarian is closed for the evening, so you got to take it to the hospital. You got to take it to the hospital where people are, and so you take it you try to admit, like actually get a squirrel admitted to a real hospital for people. What kind of a response would you get for that? I mean, if you actually, if you actually ran over a squirrel and the squirrel was fighting for its life, do you think if the veterinarian was closed, do you think a real hospital would actually take a squirrel? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I think it would probably. Yeah, the comedy thing that I was talking about, I mean, the comedy sketch that I was trying to improvise there was, let's say there's a taxi driver in New York and he accidentally runs over a squirrel. First of all, is the taxi driver that altruistic and that concerned about the well-being of a squirrel that, let's say the squirrel, it was injured, it was maimed, but it wasn't killed in the accident? Would you actually have a strong enough sense of altruism for the squirrel that you would actually get out of the taxi, scrape up the squirrel off the street, and try to safely deliver it to the nearest veterinarian, or would you? Yeah, what I was actually talking about, I was like setting up this comedy sketch that I'm doing. This is my improvised comedy show, and the comedy scene that I wanted to set up was that, let's say that you're a taxi driver in New York City, you actually accidentally run over a squirrel. Okay, a squirrel, and the squirrel is not killed in the accident, but it was actually injured and maimed. Do you have a strong enough sense of altruism when it comes to squirrels that you would actually scrape the squirrel off the streets of New York and try to safely transport it to the nearest veterinarian? Or would you just leave it there fighting for its life? And that would actually, okay, so it depends on like how, maybe perhaps it's a philosophical question, and the philosophical question that you might be pondering is how high on the evolutionary chain is a squirrel? If indeed a squirrel is like pretty high on the evolutionary chain, then perhaps it should be transported to the veterinarian to try to save its life. But if you don't deem it to be a high enough life form to even have like to want to save it, then you would just, but I don't know, maybe in any case, you don't even have to come to the conclusion of like how high up on the evolutionary chain a squirrel is. Maybe you would just say, just out of a sense of humanity, you should take it to the veterinarian. Let's say the veterinarian is closed. Do you then like take it over to like Mount Sinai, or, like the local hospital, and see if like a real doctor would be willing to operate on a squirrel to try to save its life? Yeah, I was talking about I was actually this is a comedy sketch I'm trying to do, improvised comedy sketch I'm trying to do. And I was actually thinking that if you were like a taxi driver in New York, let's say you accidentally ran over a squirrel, okay, and I mean, if you're a taxi driver in New York City and you actually accidentally ran over a squirrel, would you, and the squirrel didn't die, but it was actually fighting for its life, would you actually, would you actually try to like rush the squirrel over the nearest like veterinarian, or would you actually, would you Would you actually, if you were a taxi driver and you actually ran over a squirrel accidentally, would you, and the squirrel didn't die, but it was you ran over, they accidentally ran over a squirrel, and the squirrel didn't die, it was like fighting for its life. It's like laying there in the street fighting for its life, this tiny little squirrel. Do you care enough about a squirrel to even want to like try to like bring it to the veterinarian? Or do you consider a squirrel to be a sophisticated enough life form to even like want to try to save it? So my question to you is, if you were a taxi driver and you accidentally ran over a squirrel, the squirrel didn't die, but it was actually fighting for its life, would you, I don't know, do you think most people would leave the squirrel there to die, or do you think they would try to safely transport the squirrel to the nearest veterinarian? Do you think, okay, what do you think most people will do? I don't know. Yeah, I do, and I think most people would actually try to save the squirrel. Because most people do have a heart, I think, and try to safely transport it to the nearest veterinarian. Yeah, I was just wondering, you know, I mean, this is a comedy sketch that I'm trying to do right now, and I was just wondering if most people, let's say the average person was like a taxi driver. Say you're a taxi driver, okay. Yeah, I was just, because this is my comedy. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Thanks for joining me on my live stream. Hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. I'll see you next time. Bye.